and welcome to Practice Strategies Dental Leaders Lounge. I'm Erin Carmona, and this podcast is meant to provide a place where leaders come together to answer your burning questions about running a successful dental practice. As we approach our Call to Lead Summit, we wanted to introduce you to some of the people that we think embody the 6 essential skills of leadership. And the first person that came to our mind was Patrick Calalang. So I am pleased to introduce you to him today. Patrick owns Absolute Dental Care in Gilbert, Arizona. And I personally have had the pleasure of knowing and working with Patrick for more than 20 years now. So thank you for taking time to chat with us, Patrick.
Thank you for inviting me.
First of all, let's talk about why am I addressing you as Patrick versus Dr. Calalang? It's definitely not just because I've worked with you in the past. You made a decision really early on in your career to be addressed not as Dr. Calalang, but instead to have people call you Patrick. What was your deciding factor to do that? Because it's very different, and it was 20 years ago, and it's still different.
Actually, so we're talking maybe 33 years now. Because I did it in dental school. All the way through dental school, I was telling my patients just to call me Patrick. Because I already knew that going to the dentist creates a lot of anxiety. And so I just wanted patients to be more relaxed. I wanted to be more on an even level as opposed to, you hear the word doctor and kind of puts you on a pedestal. And so they're already kind of intimidated. So at that point, I just said, let's just call me Patrick. And so try to keep them at ease from the get-go. But actually served two purposes, because as my career started to launch 5, 6, 7, 8 years into dentistry, I still had that baby face look, and people were not really entrusting in my clinical skills. They just thought I just graduated. So I would just tell them, hey, just call me Patrick. I haven't anybody call me doctor in 10 years. And right off the bat, they said, oh, you've been working for 10 years. So they already had some trust that I'm not a new grad. So it had twofold. One was just to release the anxiety, and two, just to build a little bit of trust, with the patient, just to create a little a relationship with them.
Yeah. How do patients and other people react when you say, oh, call me Patrick?
Well, the first thing is they're surprised, because that's not what the norm is, right? And then second is that they're actually appreciative. They already feel at ease. It's kind of like I've disarmed their whole wall, right? I just took down their wall. But yeah, almost everybody is okay with it.
Yeah. I mean, I remember being in your practice and having people go, wait, what? And we're like, no, don't call him Dr. Calalang. Definitely Patrick. Oh,
yeah.
Wow. Yeah, it definitely did create just a different sense of warmth and comfort for them, I think.
Yes.
So fast forward to now, your leadership spearheading is no different. Enter the world of social media a few years back, and you decided to kind of go a different direction and really start to share your clinical expertise with your peers. And so that has spread like wildfire. And so what prompted you to begin that journey and documenting your experience for your peers?
Well, it actually started at the Spear Education Center in Scottsdale. I took a hands-on course with Dr. Bob Winter, and this is back in 2017. So it was before COVID, because really the Instagram blew up at COVID time. But before COVID, I was actually taking a course, hands-on course, just like any other student, just learning how to, relearn how to prep, easier ways to prep and so forth. And then at the end of the course, Dr. Winter came up to me, asked me, hey, do you want to be a mentor? And I didn't even know what really that meant. And I just said, yeah, sure. At this point, I was really checked out. I was almost ready to retire, right? It was my last course that I ever signed up for. I was done. I was just going through the motions, and I just prepped my 3 days of prepping just to get done and be done with it, finish and so forth. But, at the end of the course, he came up and asked me, hey, do you want to be a mentor? And I'm like, well, I don't even know what that means. He goes, well, you have the hand skills, you understand the concepts. I want you to come back and help teach other students. And at that point, it kind of reignited my passion for dentistry. Because really, when I was taking that course, like I said, I was done. I was already 25, 26, well, something like 20 something years into dentistry. I was already kind of burnt out. I lost the passion. But when he asked me to be a mentor, I'm thinking for most of you that don't know who Dr. Winter is, he's like this living legend out there, right? He's world known. People from around the world go to see him to learn from him. And so when he asked me to help him mentor, that reignited my passion for dentistry. And then all of a sudden, I was just consuming dentistry. And then now COVID lockdown hits, right? And there's nothing to do. You're shut down for 2 months. Everybody's on Instagram Live. And so I'm just eating up dentistry on COVID lockdown, just watching Instagram. And then I saw that, there was people out there that were helping others. And I would ask these, Instagram, I would guess like influencers, hey, how did you get from point A to point B? How, they show it before and then after. And I was always like, wow, that's so nice. How did you get there to there? They never really answered me. So I said, okay, so I just started doing my steps and showing you the before, not only the before and after, but every step along the way. And so that I said, okay, let's just see what happens. I just want to help others. And, not that followers mean anything, but at that time I had like 300 followers. As soon as I started showing the steps, it just skyrocketed to now I'm like at, I don't know, something 30,000 plus followers now. Not that followers, a lot of great clinicians out there that have very few followers, but they're very good. So followers don't mean anything, but just the fact that people are willing to listen to what I have to say and follow me, I was like, it just kind of reignited more of that passion. And so it just got to the point where I just like helping others. And then, like you said, it just blew up. Just came back from Malaysia to give a lecture and a hands-on workshop. I was in the Philippines. I lectured all over different states in the country. Like it just, I did lives for Egypt, for Iran. And it's crazy. It's just,
Wow.
yeah, it's crazy. So, but I mean, I enjoy it. I like helping other people.
Well, you obviously found a gap, right? You found that niche that people
Yeah.
were hungry for. Like you
Right.
said, they were hungry for how'd you get in the middle, right? And that just makes me think about just the importance of ongoing training and making sure that no matter what role you're in, that you're continually honing and refining your skills, because
Yep.
otherwise, you'll see somebody ahead of you and go, well, how do I get from here to there? Right. And
Right.
that's the path that we
That's
want to help
100%
people
true.
follow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dentistry is dynamic. It's always changing. It's not static. Things I learned from 32, 33 years ago, I don't do today. Technology, methods, philosophies, techniques, materials, everything changes. You have to keep up with the changes. It's not static. So as a dentist, you need to be dynamic. You need to be willing to change, right? You just can't be static and be doing things that you were taught 20 years ago that almost nobody does at any school. Like, in fact, things that we do in school, even like 5 years ago, we don't do today. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's crazy.
Well,
So
that is one of our 6 lifelong leadership skills that we believe so strongly in, is the ability to change and how to help people embrace change and find the excitement in that. And so I have so much respect for you for being a leader out there in helping your fellow clinicians continue to evolve and change.
yeah.
So I think you said, your passion to help others is what drives you to continue. But what would you say to the dentist who is listening to this right now and searching for their way to help other people or help their peers?
I mean, I believe that I always say this, that we are all here to help each other get better than we were yesterday, right? If you can help one person, that's, a big milestone, right? And so I always just believe that we should give back. We're in a community now where social media is starting to become toxic now. People are like putting down things, they're always criticizing and so forth, but we should be here to help each other build up, not take down. And so that's why I think if you want to help other people, don't be afraid. You have to get out of your comfort zone. A lot of people are kind of embarrassed to show their work, or they're afraid that somebody's going to criticize it because there's so many toxic people. But we have to go beyond those. We need more good people than toxic people. And so you should just get out of the comfort zone, show your work. That one piece of information might help one person. And that's just enough to keep building and building. So I just think we need to be more positive as opposed to more negative.
Together we're better, right?
100%. Yeah. 100%.
Yeah. And, I just think that some clinicians are afraid to be vulnerable. And that's what, I mean, secretly, I've been following you for quite some time on Instagram. So I was like, wow, look at what my friend Patrick is doing. That's awesome. But what I love about your content is that it's super vulnerable.
Yeah.
You're showing every step of the way. And you've shown, procedures where you're like, well, this isn't working. Let's circle back a little bit. Let's start over again. And that vulnerability is, another aspect of lifelong leadership. And so, what do you say to the dentist who's afraid to be vulnerable and to possibly show, how things didn't go perfectly?
Everybody makes mistakes, right? You need mistakes to learn from. Everybody has them. If they say they don't have mistakes, they're lying to you. And I tell people, like, Instagram is kind of like this false, sense of security, in the sense that you see these high-end clinicians that they do only great work, but they have failures. I've even, now a lot of them, in the beginning when I said that I would ask them how you do this and they wouldn't answer me, a lot of those people are now my friends, right? Now we're on, like I would say, hey, you have failures, right? And they're like, of course. Everybody has failures. You learn from failures. Without failures, you can't grow, right? And so just show everything you have, even if it is a failure, because people learn from failures. Failures are really just lessons learned. And so that's why I say that it's actually very good to show a failure because everybody has it. So when I show my failures, it shows that I'm more, relatable, more real. It's not just,
Sure.
Because when you go on Instagram, it's kind of like a photo album. Your photo album, you only put the good photos in. Instagram, you only put the good photos in. You only show the good
So
cases.
true.
But there's so many cases that don't make it into the Instagram. There's so many photos that don't make it into your photo album. You just trash them, but you have them. And so everybody has them. So if you're afraid of that, I mean, you shouldn't be. That's just going to make you more relatable, more realistic.
For sure. And I think people are hungry for that. I think they're hungry for that relatability because,
Yeah,
like you said, we all make mistakes.
we all do.
And one of my favorite sayings is to fail forward. Like we're
Right.
gonna fail, but
Yes.
make sure you're failing forward.
Yes.
And so being able to be comfortable in your own skin and to be vulnerable is so important in our ability to fail forward and to
Yeah.
really learn from the mistakes. Otherwise, we sweep them under the carpet, and I don't think we actually learn from them and grow.
That's right. That's right. You're right. They're embarrassed or ashamed or afraid, like you said. But like when you look at these high-end clinicians and their high-end work on Instagram or any of the social media, you can react either two ways. You're either going to get impressed because it's such great work, or depressed that thinking that I can't do it. But you shouldn't look that way. You should be thinking like, oh, I want to get to that point, achieve as high as I can. I might not get to that point, but at least I want to try my best.
Yeah. Well, Patrick, I know you're busy and I don't want to take up too much of your time today, but once again, we reached out to Patrick because he absolutely embodies the 6 essential lifelong leadership skills just in his daily life and definitely in his practice. So if you've not become acquainted yet with our Call to Lead Summit, I highly encourage you to check out the link in our bio and start your journey to becoming a leader that you were meant to be. Thank you so much for your time
No,
today,
thank you.
Patrick.
Thank you so much.
And I'll see you on Instagram.
All right. Have a great week.
Bye.
Our clients. So that's the best part is I like working with them. They're constantly learning and they're constantly improving.